You know, Robin, I'm feeling rather flowery today.
That's funny, I'm feeling a bit grizzly today.
Oh, too much of the old viticulture last night.
Yeah, perhaps. Or it could be because today, on Which is Greater, we're looking at Bärenpark, a game about bears and putting bears inside your bear park. All kinds of bears, including koala bears, which aren't really bears, except they sell toilet rolls. It's okay, really.
Whereas I am getting green-fingered with Cottage Garden, a game about putting flowers in your garden. Except really it's about flower pots and cats.
Both of these games are really about filling up space using blocky, shaped cardboard tiles, like a real-world game of Tetris.
And you certainly don't need two family-friendly games of cardboard Tetris.
Damn straight. So, which is greater?
Let's find out. I don't think this fits.
Bärenpark starts with nothing more than an empty field and a portaloo for... well, you know what portaloos are for. This isn't the most impressive start, is it? Let's skip to the end. There, much better! A fully built Bärenpark is a wonder to behold, full of water features and bear statues, and yes, portaloos. You wouldn't want to go to a bear park without loos, would you? I mean, they serve an essential function. In this case, usually filling awkward gaps like this one here. Look, you just have to swim across the polar bear enclosure. You'll probably make it. At the start of Bärenpark, all you have is your empty board, your little toilet, and big dreams. On your turn, you simply place a tile on your player board, and if you cover a symbol, like I just covered a cement mixer, you then take a tile from the corresponding area of the central market. And that's how you get your bears. Let's start with the concrete mixer. Look at all the little bears! Grizzly bears, and panda bears, and polar bears, and oh, screw the koala bears. Take one of those and you'll get points, because a bear park without any bears would be pointless. Now what if you cover a digger? You get even more bears, and even more strangely shaped tiles worth even more points. But wait, did we skip over something? Oh yeah, it's back down the other end for the shrubberies.
A shrubbery!
Or more accurately, streams and burger vans and toilets. Essential landscaping, but not earning you any more points.
Speaking of shrubberies... A shrubbery! Cottage Garden will have you filling up your boards of dirt with flowers of all shapes and sizes. You simply grab some bush and add those bloomers to your dirty space. It's as simple as that. But the choices in Cottage Garden are rather more elaborate, starting with the market. This is Cottage Garden's central market, full of flowers and patrolled by this giant green die that is never actually rolled. Each turn it moves one space, and that turn's player can take a flower from the row or column it is next to. Whenever it completes a loop of the board, you increase its number and the game finishes when it reaches 6. Okay, so this whole system with the surprisingly threatening gardener die is a bit weird, but it does have some interesting effects. You can see what options you and your opponents are going to have on future turns simply by counting that many rows ahead. This is especially important as the market empties, because a row will only refill when there are fewer than 2 tiles remaining when the gardener arrives. Now, you can sacrifice a cat to the gardener to get him to refill it, but yeah, that's kind of disturbing. But it's a nice mechanic that gets you planning out your game and your opponent's at the same time.
Bärenpark's interaction is a bit more subtle.
The non-existent.
Subtle! It's a race, you see. Everything's a race, and you can't win them all. The basic bear tiles decrease in value as you go through the stack. The big tiles are one of a kind. Then there are 2 larger races going on. One is for achievement tiles, which again are worth more the sooner you get to them, and the other is for bear statues. Bear! Statues! It's pretty small actually. But it's still very satisfying. It's not the size, you see, it's how you use it. The temptation in Bärenpark is to grow your board by covering up the little groups of people, as this gives you more space to place those big, high-value tiles. But each board piece has a roped-off space for a bear statue, leaving a hole in your park. When you completely fill all the other spaces of that board section, you get to slip a hairy bear statue into that hole. Oh yeah! This is what Bärenpark does. It pulls you in different directions all at once. There's the achievement tiles, which force you to spread out, and then there's the statue tiles, which make you focus in on a single area. In the meantime, there's the simple pleasure and satisfaction of planning out your park, of using space efficiently and effectively. All the while, you're under the pressure of this race for points. It's not the most brain-burnery of puzzles in board gaming history, but it is easy and simple for anyone to play and enjoy. And that is why Bärenpark is a great game.
Cottage Garden also gives you multiple player boards, but rather than some panicked race, this is a much more zen experience, because the competitive interaction happens all around the main market board, leaving your player area as an oasis of calm, as it should be. But that doesn't make things easy. It's all well and good filling your boards with flowers, but what's actually going to get you points are flower pots and cloches, which are big glass flower pot covers and nothing to do with cloching, which I'll let the Urban Dictionary tell you about. Each starting bed has some printed on it, but instead of taking a flower tile, you can take a flower pot. But that's going to be pretty slow going. The issue is flower pots and cloches only take up one paltry square on your flower bed, and you won't score anything until you completely fill a board. So even though flowers don't score you anything themselves, they mean you score all the free points that come on your board that much faster. And that's important, because when you score a tile, you just replace it, ready for another shrubbery! Cottage Garden asks a different question of efficiency as the gardener of time continues his relentless march around the flower market of life. How much time do you spend improving the value of a single board over just churning through flower beds like a hyperactive grandmother? Then there is the funky score tracks to consider on these score boomerangs. You get a pile of cubes, orange ones to track your points from pots, blue ones to track your score from cloches, and you have so many of each because you want to get as many as you can into the final space on the track, which requires some challenging optimization. Any left over when you reach the last box are wasted. It's an intriguing puzzle that you can consider from the comfort of your patio, at least until the final round. When the gardener starts his final loop, chaos ensues. Every turn you have to lose 2 points until your flower beds are filled and scored. Now, at the start of this, you can decide to ditch your emptier ones, but that just means you have to decide how much are you willing to push? How quickly do you think you can finish? Maybe you can get ahead of players who aren't willing to risk so much. It's exciting, completely ridiculous, and very, very important to get right. Cottage Garden seems simple, yet it offers up a puzzle that has proven completely opaque to me. I don't know whether to create a garden full of flowers or just a completely dead space just full of pots. I mean, obviously the answer's somewhere in the middle, but like a cat, it's proven impossible to pin down. But it's this endlessly mysterious puzzle that makes Cottage Garden such a great game. Plus, it has one of the best components in gaming, a wheelbarrow full of cats. Hey Robin, how's about that Bärenpark insert?
No.
Oh dear, oh dear.
I thought we agreed we wouldn't judge a game based on its insert.
Well, that would be very convenient for you, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
Well, I think today we're looking at 2 pretty bizarre games.
2 very bizarre themes, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, who's ever even heard of a bear park?
I have. Saw one the other day.
Well, really? Yeah. Where?
On the high street.
On the high street?
Yeah, you could walk in, it was full of bears, and you could even build your own.
You went to a build your own bear shop, didn't you?
Isn't that what we're talking about? Well, it makes more sense than pot-obsessed gardeners.
Well, actually, flower pots are a sign of an expert gardener.
Just flower pots?
Yes. No flowers. Why ruin perfectly good pots with flowers?
Guess that explains why I've got a collection of empty flower pots on your balcony.
Gotta get them points.
Let's talk about gameplay.
Yes.
Bärenpark plays smoother than a koala's arse.
Wow, strong opening.
Like a koala's.
No, just stop, all right? Look, Bärenpark is fun and accessible.
Like a koala's.
Both Bärenpark and Cottage Garden have really simple turns. You know, you just pick up a tile and place a tile.
Which is great, because it means in both games you're never waiting long for your turn.
I think Cottage Garden offers a bit more depth to this though, thanks to the flower market. You know, you're trying to manipulate what tiles other people can take and how quickly lines refill. You know, it's interesting, it offers some player interaction, which is sadly missing from Bärenpark.
Not entirely, because in Bärenpark, the way that you're rewarded depending on where you place, and the fact that it's a race for high-scoring elements, whether it's tiles or statues or achievements, means you are constantly looking at what the other players are doing.
Yeah, but you can't really do anything about it.
True. But here's the thing about Cottage Garden. For me, it's just too eccentric. It gives you a multitude of scoring cubes, an endless cycle of plots of land, and it all ends in an arbitrary panicked rush.
I like the zany push your luck end to it, though it does kind of come out of nowhere. It's wilder, like a garden.
As opposed to refined like a bear. So I guess this is a question of accessibility versus depth.
Or theme. Cottaging is a great theme.
Oh, that's not what that word means.
This is hard.
Oh.
Why can't we just recommend patchwork?
No.
But it's also got Tetris-shaped tiles, and it's better than either of these two.
Yes, it is, but it's only for 2 players. We can't compare it.
Maybe. I know, then we'll recommend a Feast for Odin!
Look at the size of that thing. That's not family friendly.
Yeah, I guess.
Family friendly though. Maybe that's the way we should judge this, right? Bärenpark is by far the easier to get to grips with. Do the added complexities of Cottage Garden really add enough to make it worthwhile?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, so both of these games are playing out basically the same puzzle, and they're both simple to teach, but Cottage Garden just keeps adding in one rule after another on top of that. I mean, like in this video, we didn't even get round to explaining how you get cats or what you use them for. So it's just one extra thing.
So I guess we have a conclusion.
Yeah, I think we do.
You'll be happy with either of these games. They're both great. But for us, the simplicity of Bärenpark means it just pips it.
Barely pips it. Barely?
Okay, we get it.
So that was Bärenpark versus Cottage Garden.
And who won?
Bärenpark won.
Yes, it did. But do you agree? Please let us know your vote in the comments below.
And then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe share it with your friends.
Please. And tune in next week for a very special episode.
The season finale.
Ooh, it's going to be Viticulture versus Euphoria.
See you then.